you're probably completely bored about me telling you how little I go on social media. I say it a lot. I went on again anyway a minute ago, despite everything I said in yesterday's video. I just had to check that nothing else had happened before I did this video. Got caught my trousers down a bit today. Did my 10 questions to whatever their names are, PAI Capital, and within 3 minutes of me publishing it, Gio said, "Oh, PAI Capital have released their statement." The 10 questions still remain the same, and I do at the start of the video. It's yesterday's video. I do give my opinion on Golden Sullivan and their stewardship of West Ham United. Anyway, I just went on Twitter a moment ago just to make sure everything was up to date before recording this video, and I know I said that everyone's sort of losing it, and part of this is to do with that. Part of this video is that everybody's getting really hot up and angry, but I've got to say not everybody is. I sort of go on Twitter a bit like kids behind the sofa when there's Doctor Who's on, or so, sort of looking at it. I look at it from behind a cushion, thinking, "Oh my goodness, what horrible nastiness we're going to see now." To be fair, the first thing that came up, and I've got to put it up there, was from this poster called Ibby. He's having a laugh. Do you know what I mean? Look, he's clearly not impressed, but you don't have to do everything nasty. I thought this is quite funny. It says, breaking news: David Moyes has turned down the chance to sign Lionel Messi because he's not convinced about his defensive capabilities and work rate. Excellent. Good. Okay, so not everybody, there is a lot of humour on there. I'll probably do place a bit of a disservice, but there's an awful lot of anger on there. And this is sort of what I wanted to play into a little bit, because remember yesterday I said there's so much as black and white. Everyone wants everything to be black and white, and I gave the example, because I'm not impressed with PAI Capital, that means I must love Golden Sullivan. No space in the middle for any nuance. This is quite interesting with how the fans are reacting to PAI Capital statement yesterday. So I think you've got a group of fans. So you've almost got extremes at either end, right? You've got a group of fans who are quite happy with Golden Sullivan. And I'm not here to dismiss anyone, by the way. There's a group of fans who are quite happy with Golden Sullivan, who are thinking, what's the problem? We're making progress. Good season last season. We've got the same points as everybody else at the moment before a ball's kicked. The transfer window's still open. What's the problem? So that's one end of the spectrum. There's another end of the spectrum, which is these people are ruining the club, ruining the club. I want them out. I don't care if it's Alan from down the road who takes over. Anyone is better than Golden Sullivan. So you've got that there, and then you've got this large section in the middle, which is not all one group. Everybody thinks differently. So some are still anti-Golden Sullivan, but they're still not convinced by PAI Capital. Some don't care about all this stuff and just want to watch the football. Others are pro Golden Sullivan and Brady, but can see what they do wrong, but perhaps they're not quite so anti-board as everybody else. They just think a couple of tweaks would help improve things, so on and so forth. What I'm saying is there are a load of different people, but there's this middle bracket, and I think this middle bracket, there's an opportunity for David Sullivan to do something now, because this is all about Sullivan's next move. And it is really all about Sullivan. Look, the day-to-day run of the club, the ticketing and stuff like that, that's on Karen Brady, right? This buying and selling of players, and particularly bearing in mind PAI Capital are talking about a majority stakeholding, that's Sullivan. You don't get a majority stakeholding by buying out David Gold, all right? So this is what they're talking about, is getting Sullivan's shares. They're not even talking about buying all the club, or 100% of the club shares, a majority stakeholding. So this is really interesting. It's a majority stakeholder in the club, not owning all the club, and renting the stadium, not owning the stadium. So this is what's happening. There's an opportunity there, because it's vague, and because there's a whole middle ground of fan who are thinking that statement weren't too clever from PAI Capital. I'm not too impressed with this. Sullivan has an opportunity to impress. Now, there's a group of people that want the deal to go through anyway. It was really interesting watching. Myself and Gio did a video live, and then watching some of the comments, not on the video, funny enough, to jump on social media and to jump everywhere else afterwards. we wanted some clarity. I certainly want clarity. I want to know where the money's coming from. Have they got the money? I particularly want to know, are they borrowing and are they leveraging against the club, basically. I don't want that. And because I don't want to see even more debt, right? This is stuff I wanted to know. There are a lot of people who, some people have already bought into the concept of PAI Capital taking over. And so much so, they were saying, well, you can't expect to see this stuff. There's a non-disclosure agreement. They wouldn't disclose this stuff at the moment anyway. Firstly, let me just say, I don't think there is a non-disclosure agreement, because I don't even think they've got that far with Sullivan anyway. If there was, Sullivan wouldn't have been able to say the stuff he said in the first place anyway, and they certainly they wouldn't have said as much as they have. It's not like they've been really, really quiet and saying we can't say anything. They're speaking a lot of words, and there's just not a lot of detail within them. Okay, so it's that non-disclosure. People are saying, oh, look, PAI Capital are great, this non-disclosure agreement, that's why they've not said anything yet. So they've actually almost got blind faith in a bunch of people. They don't know who they are, and that's because anyone but Golden Sullivan is good, right? The thing about, I'd say, with this non-disclosure agreement is, I think that's not knowing the finances. When my point is, show us your money. Show us how much money you've got so we can have some faith in you, so we can almost get behind whatever you're wanting to do with West Ham. Show us, not proof of funds, but show us how much money you've got. Just tell us. I understand a non-disclosure agreement if it's Jeff Bezos. Is that his name? Is the Amazon guy, isn't it? Jeff Bezos or Bill Gates. I always use those two because I can't think of... I see the Sultan of Brunei. There you go. 3 mega rich people. Is he still alive? I don't know if he's still alive. Whatever. If he was still alive, the Sultan of Brunei, I've no reason to think he's not, by the way. And apologies, Sultan, because he's a great listener of these videos, the Sultan of Brunei. Apologies if I've if your demise has been over exaggerated by myself. Those type of people, I don't mind them having a non-disclosure agreement, because I know they're good for the funds. It doesn't matter. I don't need proof of assets from Jeff Bezos. I don't need proof of assets. I don't need proof of assets from Bill Gates. I know he's good for the money. I don't need proof of assets from the Sultan of Brunei. I might need proof of assets from the Sultan of Brunei. He might be dead. I'm not sure. Right, but anyway, you know they're good for the money. We don't even know who these people are, so that's why I want to see. That's why I want to see what's going on. Anyway, back to Sullivan. It's a massive opportunity for Sullivan here to claim that middle ground, because I think somebody said earlier PAI are playing a blinder. I don't think they have. I think there was a real opportunity for somebody that was serious about buying West Ham to put massive pressure on an unpopular ownership. And I think they've almost missed the opportunity. I don't think they've got... I might have this wrong. You decide your own percentage, but I don't think they got 10% of the fans on side. Even if it is, and it's more, it ain't 20. Honestly, I'm looking through there and I'm thinking, actually, there's a good 80% of the fans who are not impressed with this. So it's an opportunity for Sullivan. But he's got to make a sign. He's got to do it now. Because in amongst all of this... All of this drama that's been going on with this supposed takeover bid, you often get the impression there's a lot of doom and gloom looking forward to the season, which is why I said the other day, hold my hands up here, tin hat on, I'm quite looking forward to the season, because I think we've got a good team. I think we've got a really good manager. Do you know what? It's the Newcastle thing's bugging me, because they've become our bogey team, but obviously we'll discuss that in previews and build up before the game actually happens. However, I'm actually looking forward to it. I think it's escaped a lot of people. They're so caught up in what the board, but the fact that the board have made no signings of note. Obviously, Areola, I understand that, but you know what I mean. They've not spent any money on signings. And this takeover thing that the board have turned down, a supposed takeover attempt, that almost is impending doom. I see it on the comments on my video. I said the other day, I'm not willing to accept yet that we're not going to sign any players. And people are actually saying, accept it now, Gonzo, accept it now. We're not going to sign any players. That's what people are saying. No, I would imagine we will, won't we? I mean, it doesn't suit David Moyes or David Sullivan to sign no players. I'm also not... sorry, the lights keep going off again. A number of people keep saying, oh, we're going down. I'm not going to accept that. I'm not going into a season. In fact, this is one of the few seasons in the last 10, 15 years when I've been able to think we're probably not going to go down this season. So I'm actually going to enjoy that aspect of it. We need players. I'm not going to justify myself again. I've done it almost every day. All right? But this is an opportunity for David Sullivan to pull his finger out and make a signing. Because if what he wants, sorry, did I say David Moyes, David Sullivan? I mean David Sullivan to make a signing. If what he wants to do is make all this go away, look, it ain't going to go away. And I think David Sullivan's got a thick skin. Look, I was at the march when there was 8,000 people all marching towards London Stadium. Honestly, it didn't skip a beat. It didn't matter. It didn't matter. It didn't fluster them, didn't faze them at all. The march and gathering before that was played down by the media. They made it out. It was right opposite the boats. There was at least a couple of thousand people there. You might remember I did a video. They were making out it was 400 or 500. At the time, as I said when I did the video with Gio yesterday, when there were actually people protesting outside the director's box, shouting up at Sullivan. He sat there like that. He had to be advised to leave. He was sitting there watching it. He don't care. However, I don't think him not caring is not particularly advantageous for him. And there's an opportunity here. And the opportunity is actually to sign 2 or 3 players, sort of now, right? And the rest of it is not up to him, but signing those players will help. And that is for David Moyes to win 2 out of the first 3 games. If that happens, you're not going to impact the people at the top because they already think the owner's doing a fine job anyway. You're not going to impact the people at the bottom because, as far as they're concerned, Del Boy would do a better job than Golden Sullivan. He probably would. But you know what I mean. You're not going to change their opinion. But there's this middle bracket, which I would say 80% of people, and that's why I've gone on social media, I've gone as many things as possible. People aren't impressed with this PAI Capital. And I think that here's an opportunity for Sullivan to look at that and think, actually, I can make them all go away. Just by saying, look, we had a good season last season, we're having a good season this season, we bought some players, what's the problem? Because I don't think Sullivan wants to sell, by the way. Regardless, even if this was a bid and they actually had, even if these guys had, what we're saying is a £500 million offer for the club, and we're going to spend 300 million on players, and here it is, proof of it in our bank, and we are not going to borrow a single penny. It's all there. By the way, if that happened, I'd get right behind it, right? Okay. Even if that was happening, I still don't think Sullivan would sell. I really don't. I just don't think it would. I don't think it would happen. Sorry, I'm actually recording this. I can see Canning Town Len is phoning me there. What on earth could he? Actually, I know what he's phoning me for. I'll be sharing that with you in a couple of days. But I do think there's an opportunity for that middle ground of people just to PAI Capital become an irrelevance. Look, this story has got an awful lot more to run. And if that happens, PAI are going to have to crank it up to another level. Because I do think there's been a big play here, which is for them to go public. When, as I say, when most takeover bids don't go public. For them to go public, they're playing to the galleries. They're trying to create a bit of a storm. They're trying to create some opinion where maybe I would maybe suggest that there is, maybe it's just me being cynical. Maybe they're not doing this at all. But the way I read the situation, let's put it that way, almost to whip up some protests, to almost spark some more protests to try and put pressure on the owners by whipping up this public storm. If that hasn't worked, and I don't think it has worked thus far, they've got to ratchet it up one more thing. And they're not going to do this with what I think, let's be fair, as I say, by leaking things like they leak through Twitter accounts, by doing interviews with various websites, by getting Rio Ferdinand involved. They're not the best advised group, put it that way. I think they made a bit of a hash of it. I don't know where they go from there if that's the case. I think at that point, somebody needs to say to them, and I don't know if they have anyone advising them on PR, because it ain't been great. It's not been very good at all. I would imagine not particularly professional outfit who are advising on PR, but this particular one, because they wouldn't have done it all through social media and all the rest of it. Somebody would have had the sense to say at the start, don't do it like this, do it like this. Somebody would have said, excuse me, Rio's not particularly popular with the West Ham fans because he keeps trying to get Declan Rice to go to Man United and so on and so forth, and he's outed himself as a Manchester United fan. Maybe this is not... It's not Billy Bonds, put it that way, right? That's what I'm saying. Or dare I say it, Ginger Pele, right? So they've not been advised well to get the right guy there. So their next level of PR is going to be really, really interesting, I think. I wish it wasn't PR. I wish they were just loaded and they just had money and they just bought a club, and we were looking to get some of these players. I really like Campbell. Sorry, I'm drifting onto another video now. I really like Campbell, for instance. He's a floater, not like a poo. He's a floater, right? He just floats across the pitch. I know he's not a floating number 2, you know, like the old false number 9. He's I wish we were in for him. I'd like a player I'd like him. He's going to go to Villa. So I wish it wasn't a consortium. I wish one rich bloke centurion who was going to come in, spend the money, and take us to the next level. Right? That's not happening. So I'm really, I'm intrigued at what their next PR. I was going to say gaff or stunt or whatever is going to be. I don't think they've got any more in them. I don't no more press statements, no more of this. If I was advising them, you're going to have to show some substance now. That's what they've got to do. What Sullivan's got to do, he's got to pull his finger out. And he's got to sign some players now. Apparently Smolenkovic is ready to come to West Ham. Sign him now. We need a centre-half. I assume that he's on the list of 4 or 5 that David Moyes wants. Just sign him. Just sign him. You know, David Moyes has got to have rubber stamped it in some way, shape or form. Okay, yes, he might have preferred Zuma. Zuma ain't having. Get this player in. It ain't going to do a lot, but it is a signing. Personally, you know, you've got to get a striker, and striker's got to be the priority. But let's just get some things going and get some signings coming. It might take a bit of pressure off him. That's his opportunity. If Sullivan doesn't get his finger into gear, it's not the right one. Arse into gear. Arse. You don't have gears on an arse, do you? Why is the arse into gear? Why is it not a car? Anyway, I don't know. Whatever. If Sullivan doesn't pull his finger out of his gear stick and his car and his arse or whatever the phrase is, and he doesn't buy anyone, and the fans are just going to get more and more angry because, God forbid, we don't sign anyone. We lose the first game against Newcastle, which can happen because they are our bogey team, by the way. And then PAI Capital are still there chirping about what they're going to do and how much we're going to rent the stadium for even longer and even better than we are. It actually, some of that middle ground will start actually drifting. No more will join the top level that are really supporting Golden Sullivan. They'll actually start drifting the bottom. I was thinking, just get these clowns out, which is what it is most of the time. Anyway, I don't know how I've done. I don't know, I've done 18 minutes on that, quite frankly, particularly bearing in mind this is going to run and run and run. This has really given us something interesting to talk about. As I said this week, I was going to be doing videos about the players individually. No chance at this rate. I tell you, that's going to have to wait. Always a story at West Ham United really is. I do really hope. I really hope. Look, there's no way that this consortium have spoken to David Moyes. I don't even think they've looked at the books. I don't think they've done any due diligence or anything like that. I don't think they've spoken to David Moyes. I wouldn't be surprised if David Moyes has phoned David Sullivan and said, what is going on here? And I hope it just doesn't detract from anything. And if there's one thing that is one silver lining here, I don't think a lot of those players on that training ground are going to be looking at it thinking, oh, we're getting taken over soon. Because I don't think we're getting taken over soon. Do you? I don't think we are. And I think that's, in this instance, it's sort of helpful. Because a takeover should have been done way before. I mean, you want this done before the Euros, right? To actually, if a takeover is going to go through. Now, as I understand it, PAI did approach the club long before that. So I'm not overly blaming them for that. But I think almost a takeover is so unrealistic. I think the PR stunts are so, and the statements are so botched and a bit amateur. Bloody lie. I say amateurish. I'm calling someone else amateurish and my lights are going out. That I think it's almost not believable from the players' point of view. So I don't think the players are going to be looking at it thinking, oh, is my future uncertain? Am I going to be am I going to be replaced by Lionel Messi? Or I think it's not. I don't think there's any of that. So I do think it's so far away that the players can probably concentrate on their own game, on the first game of the season. And what often happens with a lot of these takeovers as well is new owners come in, they want a new manager. Again, it doesn't strike me that Sheikh Mansour's coming in and he wants to boot Mark Hughes out because he's not his first choice and get Mancini in. That's not. And because it's not like that, I don't think Moyes is going to be fearful for his job, and I don't think the players are going to be fearful of their places. So hopefully they can all just crack on and start preparing for the first game of the season, which is going to be tough against Newcastle. For some reason, they could be crap all season, but good twice against us. Hey ho, there you go. We've always got to have a bogey team. We seem to have beaten Everton a few times in recent years. So I guess we need a new bogey team in that sense, don't we? That's what I think will happen on there. Over to David Sullivan. If I was David Sullivan, I'd be looking at this now as an opportunity to do something. I'm not convinced he will, by the way, because I thought COVID and lockdown was an opportunity where nobody was protesting, fans weren't allowed at the games. I thought that was an opportunity for him to put the olive branch out to fans, to start really improving things at West Ham. So when we came back into the stadium, we all thought, oh, that lovely Mr. Sullivan, he's changed his ways. But I don't think he did. I don't think he used that time particularly productively anyway. And I don't think his relationship is any better with the fans now than it was at the start of COVID, despite what was really a wonderful opportunity to him that put a complete stop to the Hammers United protests straight away. It was COVID came in and it stopped it. It was an opportunity for him. He didn't take it. So is he? I'm not even sure he saw it as an opportunity. I do wonder if he sees this as an opportunity. If he does, get a signing in. It will start to go away. Get another sign in. It will start to go even more. Win a couple of games, 6 points on the board. Spend 40 million, and all of a sudden, on a couple of players, all of a sudden, this is. This is looking a lot less threatening than it probably does at the moment for him.